in trying to make the case for this deal. Let's get some Republican reaction. Mike Huckabee is the former governor of Arkansas. He's a Republican presidential candidate. He's joining us live right now. He says the burden is on you, Governor. Go ahead and make the case. What would you do? Would you launch military action to try to deal with the Iranian nuclear program?
Well, first of all, great to be with you. And here's what I think the president should have done, is kept the sanctions going. They were working. They were putting pressure. They were making it difficult for this government to afford to spend money on Hamas, Hezbollah, and other terrorist activities around the world. We've just essentially allowed them to go to the bank and pick up $120 billion so that they can finance more of their nefarious actions. This whole deal, and I've read all 159 pages of it, I think what's troubling is that it's all based on the assumption that we are going to trust the Iranian government. Now, why would we do that when they have not done one thing over the past 35 years to give us any indication that they could be trusted? They've killed Americans, they've kidnapped Americans, they've sponsored terrorism, and suddenly they're going to change their behavior. And I want to point out, they haven't even changed their rhetoric, much less their behavior. They're still chanting death to America and vowing to destroy Israel. And we still have American hostages stuck in their prisons. I can understand why they're dancing and why Congress is divided over this, Wolf. I really can.
The president is saying that the U.S. is not trusting the Iranians. He's saying don't trust the Iranians, but verify, make sure that all the commitments that they have agreed to are honored. And he says there are specific, detailed, you read the 159 pages, specific areas where the U.S. and its partners in this area can verify that the Iranians are, in fact, complying. Your reaction?
Well, once again, we have to trust that they're telling us where every one of their activities are. We have to make sure that we can believe them when they say, oh, this is all we have. Again, if we're willing to go out on that limb, we're doing something that none of the neighbors of the Iranians are willing to do, not Israel, not Egypt, not Jordan, not the Saudis, not the Emirates, not Kuwait. So those of their neighbors who live closer to them, who know them best, they don't trust this. Why should we?
The president says, Governor, that the Iranians will pay a severe price if they cheat. Listen to this little clip.
If Iran violates its commitments, there will be real consequences. Nuclear-related sanctions that have helped to cripple the Iranian economy will snap back into place. Without a deal, we risk even more war in the Middle East, and other countries in the region would feel compelled to pursue their own nuclear programs, threatening a nuclear arms race in the most volatile region in the world.
So he says that those sanctions could be reinstated, snap reinstatement of those sanctions. What do you say?
Well, through the sanctions, they've continued to sponsor terrorism. They've continued to be responsible for the deaths of a lot of innocent people. So I'm not sure how the president can make the case that if we relax the sanctions, give them $120 billion to buy arms, which, by the way, will enrich the Russians, who plans to sell them a great deal of that material, giving the Russians more money to go and do some of their own activities of invading into Crimea and Ukraine. I'm missing the logic here, because it doesn't make sense. What we're doing is we're rewarding bad behavior with the assumption that by rewarding their previous bad behavior, they'll start giving us better behavior. None of us raise kids that way. None of us train dogs that way. I don't know why on God's earth we'd practice diplomacy that way. I just don't.